All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. That's my cut right there. That's some of that old school funk. Hold on. Bobby Nunn came on. Let me cut it off. All right. Thank you, Donnie. Um, um, if y'all can hear me well, hit the number 8 so I can continue. This was kind of like a spur of the moment thing, but check it out. BuffsBandwagoner.com. This is where you can get my gear, right? Ain't that nice? So I'm repping. I'm a big college football sports fan, right? I rep my son's school, who he played for. What I mean, his senior year, and I got my own gear too. BuffsBandwagoner.com, and I'm a huge fan of what Deion Sanders got going on over there in Colorado. Thank you, Donnie, for hitting the number 8, right? So BuffsBandwagoner.com is what you can get it, because we are what? We are what? We are proud Colorado Buffs bandwagoners. Proud bandwagoners. All right, so this is kind of like a spur of the moment thing. I was having a back and forth on Facebook the last few days. Because as you know, was it yesterday? I think it was. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Columbus. It was Monday. It was Indigenous Peoples Day, which they used to call Columbus Day. So now it's called Indigenous Peoples Day, right? So this discussion I've been having for the last 2 days is what inspired me to just, I got a bug up my ass, and I said, let me just talk about this. Plus, maybe about 4 days ago, I'm just driving down the street, and Minister Inky, who called himself Dr. Inky, what have you, his channel now is called American Healer or some shit. The American Healer, right? So Minister Inky's having a live stream, and he has this guy on there talking about Aboriginal this and Aboriginal that. The Moors this, the Moors that. Who was in America at this time and who wasn't in America. And I just happened to make a comment in Inky, Minister Inky, Dr. Inky, whatever he's going by now. Said, hit the link, Chief, and come on up. So I came up on a live stream and went back and forth for about 20 minutes with this nutcase. And so that also helped me wanted me to make this video. So my claim is, and I state this claim, which you say is this pseudo movement is just getting bigger and bigger, right? So my bold claim is what I have in the description. So sometimes read the description. It's a description or of what the video is about, right? So my claim is, and I make this claim boldly, there were no black people. See, so since people play with words and they want to confuse what black people is and act like they don't know what black no more is, and I'm throwing it all up in there. There was no nappy head people. There was no black people. There was no Sub Saharan African people. There was no African people in a whole, not just Sub Saharan African. There were no African people. There were no Asian people. I'm sorry, excuse me. Let me take that back. There were no black folk with kinky nappy hair that looked like me in most of my listeners. In the entire Western Hemisphere. I didn't just say North America. I didn't just say South America. I said in the entire Western Hemisphere. There may be some that we can be considered black that was in Oceania and Malaysia and Solomon Island. Yeah, Solomon Island. I don't call them black, but I'm just distinguishing. In the Western Hemisphere, there was no blacks until the transatlantic slave trade, or at furthest 1492. Some explorers may have came in 1492. Not explorers. Yep, some explorers may have came, and there may have been some servants on board. They may have came in 1492. So we're just going to set the limits at the year 1500 or the transatlantic slave trade. Young Heru, I'm gonna break it down to you. Just pay attention. There's a word we use called logic. And if you understand basic history and you apply your logic to basic history, you can kind of figure things out. And then you couple it with science, genetics, archaeology, anthropology, you know, understand the migrations and migration patterns, who went where at what time. It's not rocket science. On every subject or discipline I just mentioned, I can prove my point. And no one in any of those fields can come against my claims or disprove my claims, right? So, no black folk was in the entire Western Hemisphere, not just North America, Canada, you know what I mean, Alaska, Brazil, you know what I'm saying? Black folk, and there's a standard definition of black folk in Wikipedia. If you want, I'm just saying, people, we have to have a base to base things off of. We have to have a base understanding to base and start a conversation off of, and keep things simple so we don't muddy the waters. I'm not muddying the waters. I'm trying to make it plain. We weren't here in the Western Hemisphere. We come from Sub Saharan Africa, not North Africa, Sub Saharan Africa, and or tropical places, in some arid desert areas also. And through the Arab and or transatlantic slave trade, we've dispersed from sub-Saharan Africa to other parts of the world in later times. Outside, and I make this point, outside of sub-Saharan Africa, the number is this low, and you have to think about it. Say, damn, I never thought about that, Chief X. Well, what you would consider, and that may not even be black folk to me, but we're going to just give you a few people. Melanesia, the islands, Tasmania, and all these, which you would consider might be black folk. Excuse me. You know, Fiji Islands, because they got some frizzy hair and shit, and they dark. It's only 5% outside of sub-Saharan Africa. Outside of sub-Saharan Africa, what can be considered black folk is only about 5%. You mean all of Japan, you know, vast majority of India, all of China. You know how big China is? You know how big India is? The Indus Valley? Uh, 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 wow. I mean, like, the Caucasus, Russia, Europe, all this landmass outside of sub Saharan Africa. And you guys are barely 5%? People don't think about it that way. That means there was others out there migrating and mutating more so than you, or what you would consider is your kind. You dig what I'm saying? That's just common sense. I didn't say anything out of line or too unbelievable. So we're gonna break it down and prove this, right? So what I say is, let me just say this. So somebody inboxed me on social media, on Facebook. This Arab guy. So I have a lot of these Arab scholars and people who hit me up and stuff. And he showed me a text of a guy on Twitter, and I've been telling you guys, cats. 2 years ago. I've been saying this. I've been saying this, and when this study and this genetic information hits you, only thing you niggas gonna do is think about Chief X. Chief X gonna come to your mind. I've said you guys better get ahead of the curve. I said it's a study out there right now that's gonna shut a lot of shit down and prove who the ancient Egyptians is. I'm trying to tell you, it's about two different studies people working on, and this shit takes time in academia and stuff, and to be put out to the. It's they studies that different scholars work on, and it takes, bro. When y'all get this proof from these studies, you're gonna say Chief X told your black ass. You better get ahead of the curve, because I'm saying I'm gonna have tape on all you cats over the last 2 years. I got you cats on record for the last 2 years, and it's coming. I just want to say that. I'm just want to say that. So you better start copping a plea right now, because by, let's say, early next year, you're gonna be like, well, I just, I was, this is what I meant, and this and that, and he, or he. I'm gonna say I told you, black ass. What'd you say? They're already squirming. You better get ahead of the curve right now. That's all I'm gonna say. See, when life goes on, people get smarter, more things are discovered. You know what I mean? Niggas get DNA from a calf leg, and niggas getting DNA from all. We get smarter and we evolve, and shit happens. You know what I mean? So, you know, all things will be revealed and shit. All right, so let's just go. Okay, main thing I say. Let's get to the topic. Main thing I say is the way you know who was here in the Western Hemisphere mainly is in South America. Who was the people who were here, which we should use the term in the ancient of days? Shit, you know what I mean? Back in the day, Khalid Muhammad, Nation of Islam used to say in the ancient of days and shit. But it's a fitting phrase to say for what I mean. In the ancient of days, who was here deep off in that Amazon jungle? Not just in Brazil, they had Amazon jungle and bush all in South America. Ecuador. Let me look at my map so I can just get the Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, all up in Brazil, Bolivia, Argentina. This is a lot of bushy area, and people are in Amazon jungles in different places in these nations. Oh, we got them on a record, right? And guess what? You'll never ever find any of them uncontacted tribes coming out the jungles in any of these Amazons with nappy and black hair. No ancient peoples in this Western Hemisphere who were discovered had nappy hair and would look like black folk. You can't show me. You can show me some cartoon pictures without the art history. So on social media, people showing these cartoon looking pictures and these drawings. Oh, look, it was some Africans here. What they are, I've kind of figured out, is the ancient drawings, or ancient. Well, you can say ancient. Well, the old drawings of Maroons, whether they were dressed or in gear of war. You know who the Maroons are? This is basic history. People who were escaped slaves and things like that. So if you get a meme or a picture and you don't have the art history attached to it, describing what it is and who it is, stop falling for it. Do not be what I always call meme educated. So in none of these Amazon jungles, nowhere through Brazil, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, Argentina, nowhere down in Mexico, all the way in the North America, even in Canada, all the way up to Alaska. This is the Western Hemisphere, people. The Inuit, the Eskimo people, you'll never find no black Eskimos. Say, hey, why is no black Eskimos? You never thought about that? Show me some Eskimos. Inuit people is their proper name. With afros and black. You can't find any. And you never seen any old pictures of them. We're going to get down to some pictures today. Why you can't find no black pictures, or why you can't find, excuse me, no pictures of black folk. So let's just do this. Let me share my screen. Oops. Okay. So this is what I mean. Just so we can be clear, people. Oops. Let me make sure it's a delay. Okay, there we go. These are what we call uncontacted tribesmen. Wherever they found, they just look just like a Mexican would today, or just most in general a Native American. Brown skinned, melanated people. African people are not the only people melanated. These are melanated, brown skinned Native Americans. Hunting and fishing. They've been here since the ancient of days. Thousands upon thousands of years prior to a slave trade jumping off. Matter of fact, even all these Amazon jungle areas was empty prior to 15,000 years ago anyway. It was an ice age jumping off called the Laurentine Ice Sheet. These are the people who's all. Why you ain't found no black folk up in here in the Western Hemisphere, in the Amazon? Because they weren't there. Plain and simple. This is not rocket science, people. For instance, in Native American, in some Mayan art, they have. Oops. Let's just blow this up. Let me get to this. Talk about this now. I was gonna get to it later, but let me just since I got it up here, let me mention it now. They have the artwork, and you see the black art. You know, what we would call red ochre, kind of just like Egyptians use kind of a red ochre. So people are limited with color. So the way they colored, they use earth. So the earth, I guess, produced a lot of red ochre, and that was what they used to paint as a color. Plus, they were melanated anyway, so it's no difference, right? They see black, and if you all you had to do is look up Native American color meanings. They tell you this black represented war paint. When they was in war mode, they put on war paint on their faces and their bodies. It doesn't mean that they're black people. You get what I'm saying? So you'll see this in real time under what does it say? Under uncontacted natives, where? Brazil, Peru border area. And they even had the black war paint and the red paint they painted on their bodies. Okay? It's not black people. You can't find no black folk anywhere where? As an uncontacted native Brazil, in the uncontacted native Brazil Peru border. There are no black folk there. There are no black folk, no nappy head folk, no Sub Saharan Africans, no Africans that ever came up out of them geographical areas, out of these rainforests, out of these jungles, out of these. It never came out of these areas. You were not here prior to the slave trade. This is not rocket science. This is these same people. See, you guys can't find images of yourself like this. You can't find old pictures of black folk in these gear. Listen to what I'm telling you. You can't find no black folk. These are straight haired people, same people who come up out these jungles, same people who populated the Western Hemisphere, that same Native American black straight hair type. There's no nappy head people here. I'm just repeating this like a parrot. Nappy head, black folk, whatever term I use, I'm just trying to make it sink in so you can understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay? We're not gonna get confused. This is primary motherfucking evidence. God damn it. Who do you think these people are? These are people who was in these goddamn lands, whether North America or South America. These are people who were in these lands prior to slave trade. And when colonists came here, guess what they eventually did to them in North America? So I'm distinguishing now. You got to understand when I say North America, when I have to say South America. Okay? These same people right here, these same natives, these same people were in here. Did they mix with you niggas during the slave era? No, I'm gonna tell you what they did. They went to what? Indian boarding schools. Where you see what? No black folk. No nappy head folk. In what schools? Indian boarding schools. Why ain't no black nappy head folk in Indian boarding schools, Chief X? Because black folk and Native American folk didn't go to school together. That's why. Black folk and Native Americans, black folk had their own schools in the South. They weren't integrated. You know the atrocities that went down with these people at these Indian boarding schools? These are kids of like the what we consider the five civilized tribes. And they were Americanizing them. Cut their hair, stripped them of a lot of their practices, and tried to Europeanize them, and that's why they had slaves too. They were copying what the Europeans were doing, but in some instances, some people were forced. These are the same people in the West Indies who they didn't just these ain't no implants. These are people who was always here before black folk. If black folk were Native American or the original people here, they would be in these boarding schools. They were talking about these schools were built to tame Native Americans. Oh, there's a bunch of bullshit, but white folk had put these schools together, Indian boarding schools. You're not there. You didn't need to be what they considered. You know, you was a property on them plantations. Okay, let's be clear who we talking about. Let's be clear who was here in the Western Hemisphere. These people were here in the Western Hemisphere. You can't find no old photos of black folk like this. The only old photos of the late 1800s or 1800s, only old photos you can find is y'all sitting on plantations that with them high ass porches and shit, in a house up off the ground in case it flood and shit. All up in the South on a plantation house, sitting on a motherfucking porch with some European clothing on, or some clothing that simulates Europeans. What are the fucking, you know? We know who you is. Them people out them cotton fields. These people weren't in cotton fields. These people I'm showing you weren't in them cotton fields on the plantation. The Negro was. These people. You can't find no old photos of y'all up there living, you know, in an indigenous kind of way. There are no photos of black folk living in any kind of indigenous way unless they're the Gullah Geechee or some Maroons or runaway slaves. These are not nappy head people. These is old real photos. Where's y'all real photos? Show me 2, and I'll show you 1,000. Let's go. I can go on for days and days. I just saved a few. These ain't nappy head people. These are indigenous people who were in the Western Hemisphere prior to slave trade, and no Negroes, no black folk was in the Western Hemisphere prior to slave trade. These people were. You got to get over it. You got to get over it. So let's get back to these indigenous folks, where we have actual primary evidence, what we call footage of these people. They're everywhere. Let's just play this real quick and see what he says real quick. Hold on, let me make sure that. What's up, family? All right, let's get back to it. Present, share my screen. Bam. We ain't gonna be here all night. We about to wrap it up. Let's go ahead and check this out. We're gonna listen to this for 1 minute. All right. They're talking about visiting uncontacted tribes, or tribes who have been recently introduced into normal civilization because people are disconnected and or separated from society, depending on where they're at.
Buenas, hola, ¿qué tal? Birds in the jungle con mis amigos. 3 judíos en un barco.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I just arrived in the Amazon jungle deep in Ecuador.
He arrived in the Amazon jungle deep where? In Ecuador.
They said the Warani people had the highest murder rate of any group in the world. There was way more. My friend and fellow YouTuber Shalma diving deep and then to thrive for thousands of years.
Wait a
The
minute.
Warani.
Wait a minute. Let me rewind it. It's just 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I'm gonna move on. I just want to play this to make a point. Thank you for that donation, Oak the Goat. I really appreciate it. Really do, sincerely.
I just arrived in the Amazon jungle deep in Ecuador.
They said the Warani people had the highest murder rate of any group in the world. They said the Amazon is inhospitable and not safe to visit. But I knew that there was way more to the story than I could ever have imagined. So here's the plan. I'm teaming up with my friend and fellow YouTuber Shalma NYC, and we're about to embark on an adventure of a lifetime. We're diving deep in the Amazon jungle to live with the ancient Warani people and get a glimpse of how they've managed to thrive for thousands of years. The Warani are made up of.
They've thrived for thousands of years. Not one nowhere has nappy black hair or looks like black people, because no black folk were in the entire Western Hemisphere. You can't name these people. I can name 100 different tribes that ain't black and nappy head, but you can't name one that is.
Various groups, but some of them are still uncontacted even to this day.
What did he say? He says some are still uncontacted to this day. You know how much land it is in South America? He had no idea how many miles of land there is.
We're incredibly fortunate to meet with some tribe for thousands of years. The Warani are made up of various groups, but some of them are still uncontacted even to this day. We were incredibly fortunate to meet with a local Warani named Wareka, who warmly invited us into his home and village. Life for the Warani has changed a lot since peaceful contact with missionaries in the 1950s, but they've managed to
In the 1950s, when they met missionaries, there's no nappy head black folk there. I'm sorry.
retain their unique culture, keeping them fairly isolated from modern society. Our journey kicked off by traveling thousands of miles to Quito, Ecuador, where our thrilling expedition began. After a short flight, we landed in La Coca, the gateway to the Amazon. As we ventured deeper, the true wonders of the Amazon started to come alive. Finally, we reached our destination, the village of Bameno, in one of the most remote regions in the Ecuadorian Amazon jungle, and the very heart of the Warani community.
So I just played that brief little minute and 30-second clip just to give you an understanding of there's been people since forever traveling up in and out of them areas in South America, Ecuador, Brazil, and they've never found you. So sometimes we try to look at simple logic. People didn't cross large body oceans unless they had seafaring vessels that were worthy and capable of crossing a large body ocean. You get beat up on them seas. Let me just show you this real quick. Hold on. Let me show you this real quick. Hold on 1 second. I always like to give this as an example. Hold on. Excuse me. This is hilarious. Let me find it. Where is it at? Okay, here it is. Oh, I found it. I'm put this video up here. 5 years ago, I was telling folk this that we never came here, and because me being in the Navy, like look, when I was in the Navy, I used to go overseas a lot, right? So I understand how ships and boats work and what can and what can't cross the large body oceans. I know what the hell we went through in a big steel ship with hundreds of men on it that was modernly built, and how we was taking 40-degree turns in a China sea storm. Can you imagine a canoe? So we covered, like let me just show you. Where's that video? Okay, here it go. I made this 5 years ago just to make a point. Now just think if you was in a canoe or some small boat, everybody would be dead in a second. That's why the Mansa Musa story of he sent 200 ships and only one came back alive, and it came back alive just to tell everybody that everybody drowned. That's the mythological story. Meaning everything that he had at his time, or that it was just a mythological story. None of them made it. They all died. Guess why they died? Because of this. Watch.
I looked away.
Do you see what I'm saying? No canoe, no Khufu's boat and shit could survive water splashing or water hit that hard.
Watch that clip.
And that's a steel aircraft. That's a big ship. And guess why nobody's out on it? Because if anybody was out on it, standing up on the deck, they would be overboard. Them old ships didn't even have covers for whoever was riding in the ship. You were all in open, exposed to be hit by water and knocked off. Just technology and common sense. So I already know nobody was seafaring like that.
I looked away.
So those are Navy shipmen just filming from the window inside the mask. I mean, in the steering room. Okay, where was I? So, uncontacted tribe. Like, this is footage they found one time where they got of an uncontacted tribesman deep off in the Amazon. You'll never see a black one. Never see a nappy head black. They'll look like just like Jose or Sanchez. You can't tell the difference. They'll never look like Leroy. They've never seen a Leroy inside any of these Amazon jungles because he was never here. Yeah, so that's just primary evidence. You were never there. Hold on. Another common sense reason. You see that proud bandwagoner shirt? Get you some bandwagoner gear. Matter of fact, I should have put it in the description. So another common sense reason. You know, I always used to say common sense science, making it simple. Another common sense reason why you know is what was my point? I forgot my damn point. I sure did forget my damn point. Hold on. I didn't even write it down. So, what was that damn other reason? And we're gonna wrap this up. I can't think about it. What y'all talking about in the chat? Why haven't damn? I may be behind. Hey, thanks for that donation. Uh, um, Oak the Goat 9. Salute Luxu. I'm just reading a few comments because I haven't read any. Y'all, wow. Okay. I don't want to take up too much time. I'll read them shortly. Yeah, so, I mean, all the primary evidence we have, whether it's anthropology, archaeology, uh, um, finding uncontacted tribes, um, genetic information, um, information between trades and goods, none of it adds up. Not 1 cent is in the favor of black folk being in the Western Hemisphere. Ever. Until recent times. So I've been waiting for at least 6 years for somebody to prove me wrong on any of this, and I have yet to see the evidence. Like I can shoot 100 points of evidence, and you can't shoot one back. What up, Donnie? Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. I'm trying to think of something else before I go. Something I might have forgot. And I can't think. I had a good point to make, and I totally forgot what it was. To leave that weed alone. Okay, Laker game time. So I really gotta go. Preseason Laker game. Who they playing? Sacramento Kings. Oh, JaVale McGee with Sacramento Kings. That's my nigga JaVale McGee. But he not a Laker no more. Hey y'all, peace out. Wait a minute. Proud bandwagoner gear. Hold on. Let's just do this. I'm gonna put it in the description, but I'm gonna put it up here. Not hard to remember. Yep, yep. Buffs, plural. Buffs bandwagoner.com. And Dr. Banu, what you say? Well, oh, Dr. Banu, I forgot. I forgot about you. Dr. Banu, Colorado Buffs is just as equal as USC Trojans. USC is a high scoring game. USC only won by 7 points and escaped, and Colorado was missing two of their best safeties. So they had their third and fourth string safeties in. Their two best safety was injured. And their best player on offense and their best player on defense was out. Travis Hunter was out. And you guys only won by, what was it? 49 to 42? We equal to you, bro. If we had our best two safeties in, we would have beat you. If we had just our best offensive defensive player in, we would have beat you. Y'all wrong. Y'all been wrong. You owe me. What you say, Palermo? USC is gonna struggle against Notre Dame this week. That's right. That's right. Let them know, Donnie. BuffsBandwagoner.com. So listen. So we just whooped Arizona State. Not whooped them. We got away barely. Arizona State. We about to beat Stanford. This game is on Friday. We play Stanford. That's two. We'll be 5-2. But we having a winning season. Listen, we having a winning season. We may only lose one more game, and that's to Washington. Everybody's dust. Buffs is going 8. Excuse me. Buffs is going 9-3 this year. That's a winning season. Buffs gonna make the that might make the playoffs. If Buffs just so happen to be, I don't know if they'll beat Washington, but if they beat Washington and Colorado State, they're going to the playoffs. Would you say Merc Boxer? I don't want to see it. Frightened Irish. Yeah, so you may have to bend the knee about Colorado. They're just as good as USC. All right, y'all, I'm out.